had uh, children who are children no matter
Yeah.
where they are, and a little boy was lucky enough to get a little dinosaur blanket put on his bed, and he just jumped all over that. I mean, it was just, first of all, it's his bed,
Yeah.
his blanket.
Yeah.
He's not sharing it with anybody,
Wow.
and so I mean, we could tell you so many
Yeah.
stories about things like that.
Wow. Welcome to Hopecast, where we share hope and inspiration about what God is doing at Blessings of Hope in our community and in our personal lives. I'm your host, David Latt. Today I'm joined by Deacon Michael Oles, the founder of Off the Streets, and Lena, which is a volunteer, but it sounds like she wears quite a few different hats. So welcome to the show. Thanks for coming out, and excited to hear about Off the Streets and what you guys do and how you serve the community.
Well, we're pleased to be here.
Well, it's
Thank
good to
you.
have you.
Yeah.
So, as we get into this, what prompted you to start Off the Streets, or how did it get started?
Well, way back in the early days, and I guess like in the 1990s, I was asked to be I was asked to talk to a group of about 60 kids, religious ed kids, about homelessness. So I thought I'd bring a homeless man with me, and when I had been working in a homeless shelter for many years, and I thought, I knew lots of homeless guys, but when I brought up this idea of them talking to a group of 60 kids, they all turned me down. And I said, so I had to sweeten the pie, and I said, look, if one of you would just come with me and talk to a group of kids, I'll put you up in a nice motel for the night instead of having to stay at the shelter. So I finally convinced one, and on the way down, he says, oh, I'm so afraid they're going to have to ask me questions. I said, that's great. So we get down there, it's a Monday night. There's like 60 kids, they've already been in school all day, they're tired, and I introduced my homeless friend, um, Victor. And so Victor, they got into conversation with Victor, and they started asking him, how did you become homeless? And, do you have a job? Do you have family to help you? And all this sort of stuff. And they really got into it. They asked him, are you a drug user and all this sort of stuff? How do you spend your days? So anyway, they were all excited, animated for about an hour and a half, and then I took Victor to the motel, and we thought that was the end of it. But then a few weeks later, I get a call from the director of religious education. She says, the kids were so excited about Victor, they want to help him get into a place of his own, and they've raised some money for him. So come on down to the church, and then the pastor and the director of religious ed and some of the kids will present you a check to hold for him. So they gave me a check for $750. So I'd been working in a homeless shelter for many years, and it was always frustrating to see the same faces over and over again, and we never could figure out why can't they just get out of the situation themselves. Anyway, so we get this money, and I put it on my dresser. It's a $750 check. So about 2 weeks later, the director of religious education calls me, and she says, the kids want to know, where's Victor living? And I said, oh, I've been busy and haven't got to it yet. I had no idea what to do with that money. So she calls me again, and that scripture verse where the evil judge, the widow wants to get some justice, and the evil judge, he doesn't care about her and stuff, but because she's so persistent, he finally says, I got to get this woman off my mind. He gives her justice. So it was sort of like this. I cared for Victor, but not that much, but I had to get these kids off my back.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, Victor, I said, listen, if you find a place to live and you could afford it, we'll use this money for a security deposit, and I'll get you a bed and stuff like that with the rest of the money. Well, it worked out. And then worked like that for the next 3 years. I would go and talk to a group of kids, bring a homeless person. I'd coach them about, helping them to fundraise and so forth to get this person off the streets. So about 3 years go by, and we got like 9 guys off the streets. So meanwhile, the Holy Spirit's like smacking me in the head. And he's saying, Deacon, what's the matter with you? I gave you all these great gifts. You're squandering them. Look what these kids are doing. Why can't you as a deacon do something more than what these kids are doing? So it got me thinking. But then I looked at what it costs to start a 501c3, and I thought, oh, this is too impossible. Then I got cancer. I thought I was going to die, so I said I better do something or die trying. So I started off the streets, and it's all volunteer. We're all volunteer, no paid staff, no government funding, and the whole idea is to get a referral from a caseworker from an agency that's already been dealing with the homeless. And if they find somebody that has a way to pay a rent going forward, then we'll pay the security deposit directly to the landlord and we'll give them all the furniture that they need.
Okay.
Okay, and so that's how that whole thing took off.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So you said pay the security deposit and then help them get their furnishing and stuff, help them to get established, and then just so they can have a job and keep
get a
going
fresh
forward.
start.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Wow.
actually worked out really well. And you might wonder, well, because we used to see people in the shelter all those years, a lot of them had jobs. One guy worked for Men's Warehouse, and he was a clerk at Men's Warehouse, so he'd show up at the shelter with a three-piece suit that they had given him, and he was at the, so now I know why though.
Yeah.
Here's what happens, okay? If somebody's at the shelter, say they're working at a fast food place, okay? Everybody knows in the shelter, they all have this community. They know that he's going to get paid on Friday. Okay, comes Friday. They're all begging him for money for shoes, for sneakers, for a pack of cigarettes, whatever. And the guy doesn't really know how he's going to get out of the shelter. He doesn't have enough money for a security deposit. No landlord's probably going to take him, and so they get stuck in this rut.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're working with a caseworker, okay, this is where the key thing works. If they have a caseworker who helps them figure out, okay, how their monetary situation, are they paying like excessive amount of money for an old car, are they paying like high interest rates that they don't understand necessarily? Then the caseworker can help them get out of this jam, and then they can refer them to us. Once they refer them to us and they found the place to live, we send a security deposit to that landlord that day. The low-cost places have many, many people waiting in line to get one. So as soon as a place opens up, we're there at that moment.
So with the holidays coming up here, is there anything special you do to reach out to people, or is it just business as usual?
Well, it really is business as usual because a home for somebody who doesn't have one, it means the world,
Yeah.
much more than a gift or whatever. But we do have so many people in our community, as you know, who want to do good and want to help those who are marginalized. And so, so we have people who will donate gifts, but we have found that there's so many in our community already doing so. So we try to concentrate on really helping as many families as we can into homes so they can enjoy a decent Christmas. And I do the Christmas move with a group that that always wants to do it because it's always so very special. I'm not sure how God works this, but it's always a family that is in dire need. I remember one especially where they didn't even have the coats to walk down the street a block to go and get warm clothing because it was pouring rain. But our volunteers got food, got clothing, brought it to them to try on or whatever. One even ran home during the move and picked up her own private vacuum cleaner, brought it to the house, vacuumed the house as well as she could, and then left the vacuum cleaner for the person. So it's a different kind of Christmas, but we try to make it as joyous of one as possible.
Lena is so involved with that. She's going to tell you, I think, a little bit about this extraordinary.
We'll get in there here just a bit,
but the other thing is, that where does the funding come from? Because we take no government funding because the government puts too many restrictions, and you can't help this group. You can't, and then all the administrative thing. So we don't take any government funding. But what we do take is individual donations or grants. And Lena is one of the people that's really instrumental in writing grants. Okay. And one of the grants that she went for, the company said, "Oh well, we don't want to do direct payments for security deposits. Do you have any capital needs?" She said, what do you mean? And they said, well, do you have like a truck or something? That she said, a truck? Yeah, we could use a truck. So
Yeah.
we've actually gotten 2 trucks donated to us.
Wow.
These are big vans, so you can, instead of using pickup trucks where it's raining or
Yeah.
snowing, whatever, you got a closed-in van. You
Yeah.
can put in mattresses.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's from. I have to give a shout out to Sunrise Rotary Club who helped with the second van, with Clark Associates, who
Yeah.
have been very generous with both vans, and the Gutenberg Foundation
Well,
that helped
yeah.
with 2 vans.
And-
It sure makes a difference that we
Yeah.
don't
Having the right equipment is always always a
yeah.
big.
we don't
big-
have to cancel
yeah.
moves or postpone moves.
So
You know.
before we started here, you said something about you had chapters in other states as well. Like,
Right.
walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so we since we don't have an advertising budget, okay, this is like makes it difficult for us to get the word out. So I've written a couple of books about Off the Streets, but and I've gotten a couple of articles into some Deacon magazines and so forth. But we started a chapter in Washington State. We started another one in Huntington Beach, California. And we started chapters in, I think, about 11 or 12 different locations now. And each one is a total act of faith because you
It
start
is.
with no money,
Hmm.
you start with no volunteers, you just start with a little spark.
And a vision from God is like this. This
It's
is what this
exactly
is what we're
right.
called to do. We're making a difference in somebody's life.
Right,
It's a-
and I can tell you, I just want to interject, that with every move, we feel that so strongly. You can talk to any off the streets volunteers, and we have little miracles that
Yeah.
happen every single
It's
move.
just that confirmation that God's in it.
That's
That
right.
He has a bigger plan here, and that we're taking that.
It
next
is, and
step.
that's
Wow.
what keeps us going because, as Deacon Mike said, we completely on the community
Yeah.
for donations of time, money, and furnishings.
Yeah, so and like just one little episode. We had a mother and a 9-year-old boy. They were going to take off the streets, so she needed furniture. Okay, so we had everything that we needed except for one item. We told her we're going to drop this off. So on the way down to dropping the things off, one of our volunteers stopped into Walmart, picked up the missing item that we didn't have for like $12. We go down, we deliver this furniture, the beds, the dressers, and all this. We deliver this unwrapped package from Walmart. The mother gets the package. She starts to cry. We don't know what's going on. She said, well, my son Anthony, who's 9 years old, when he found out we were going to move into our first real house, he said, Mom, would you be able to make me a piece of toast? And she said, well, we won't have a toaster.
Wow.
So when we gave her the toaster, she broke down and cried.
Wow.
So I've been married 58 years. I'm trying to figure out what to get my wife for anniversary present. I try to get her a toaster, see if she'll cry for me. But
No,
the
but,
things-
Yeah.
but it's true.
the things we take
It's
for granted.
yeah, the
Yeah,
things we take
yeah.
for granted. I just did a move on Saturday where I overheard the little boy saying to a friend, "We have real dishes and glasses,"
Wow.
and it makes you realize,
Yeah.
that every
Just
little thing works.
the little things you take for granted every day. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
How about the one with the dinosaur blanket? You want to talk about that?
Oh, well, another little thing, but we had children who are children, no matter
Yeah.
where they are, and a little boy was lucky enough to get a little dinosaur blanket put on his bed, and he just jumped all over that. I mean, it was just, first of all, it's his bed,
Yeah.
his blanket.
Yeah.
He's not sharing it with anybody,
Wow.
and so we could tell you so many
Yeah.
stories about things like that.
Wow. So do you also supply food then, or like how did you get connected to Blessing of Hope, or
Right.
what's the story there?
Yeah, so it's a natural connection. When we first started Off the Streets in Connecticut, okay, and I had this, vision from the Holy Spirit really to start this chapter, to start Off the Streets. The idea was beds, dressers, pots, pans, things like that. There was a woman in our community who was making baskets of food,
Okay.
and she wanted to give them to me to give to the people. I looked at this as like, this is just an aside. And she would call me up and she said, Deacon, I have 12 baskets in my garage. Please take them. And I didn't really think much about it. But she was putting like even little notes in the baskets, like welcoming baskets. And it really wasn't until much later that I realized how valuable these blessings were. This little basket of hope. Okay, which you're doing. Okay, that's what your vision is here. And so when we now deliver furniture and so forth, we're now delivering food as well.
Well, and the volunteer is one who can't lift, doesn't, the time commitment is such that she can do this part of it. So she comes to Blessings of Hope every week.
Wow.
And she shops for 3 families and then delivers the food to our warehouse, and then we take it out. And so it means we just
Yeah.
finished a tour of your warehouse,
Yeah.
and it's really quite amazing.
Wow.
We're so very grateful
Yeah.
to be able to take that much food every week.
So how many families do you serve a year, or like, is it like one a week, couple
So
a month?
it's 3 families a week,
Okay.
just from this location. Okay. And but we've now taken just about 10,000 people off the streets. Most of them, about 80% or 8,000 of them, are women and children.
Wow.
Okay, so when we see the guy with the cardboard sign at the freeway entrance, okay, and those guys look able-bodied. Many times they are able-bodied, but they're just supplementing their income because of the reaching out. But you'll not ever see a mother, almost never see a mother with children panhandling, because the state would take the children away for safety reasons, and then it's very hard for them to get them back. Maybe impossible for them to get them back. So um, even in Lancaster now, there's about 1,000 kids who are registered as homeless in the school system, and so you wonder, well, where are they? The mothers and fathers will dress those kids the best they can so they fit in. So if they're going to wear jeans, they got to have the rip in the right place. Okay. The sneakers, they got to be, if they get an Air Jordan, that's a big special.
Yeah.
So something like that, those sneakers, and you'll never be able to differentiate them from in the classroom.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So we in the Lancaster chapter, we have helped about 5,600 people off the streets since 2013 using only volunteers
Wow.
and donations. And we don't, as Deacon Mike said, it's a two-pronged mission. One, to help with a security deposit, because it is often that very last barrier to permanent housing. And so we never see those people.
Yeah.
But on the second prong is the moves, and that's what brings the volunteers in. And we see face to face, the face of the marginalized, or as Deacon Mike likes to say, the face of Jesus.
Yeah.
In those we serve, and we try. We're not just bringing furniture or food or whatever. We see ourselves as bringing respect for the person, and self-respect. We hope that we are enhancing their dignity by bringing no junk. That's his mantra. Everything that is donated needs to be in good condition. No tears, no stains, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And lastly, that we bring hope. And I think that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Wow. And website, if people want to get involved, where do they find you?
So you can find us at lancaster.offthestreetsnow.com. And there you can donate your time, you can donate furniture, or donate dollars.
And if somebody wants to mail a donation, where do they send that to?
601 East Delp Road, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You can also go to our website and donate online.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Anything else you wanted to share before we wrap this up?
No, but thanks for the opportunity, and it's really great.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, we're grateful to you to be able to share, because we know that you have quite a huge following.
Well,
so it means a lot to us to to partner with you, because we're all trying to help the same people.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
What we see is if we can work together as a community and serve together, we can have a greater impact than if we try to everybody do their own thing.
Exactly.
And
that we're not working in silos,
yeah.
right?
But we're
all
serving for the same mission.
Yeah. So lots of our volunteers are volunteers with other, and I'm thinking of one volunteer in particular who volunteers with Arch Street, who also is touching the lives, and the Greek Orthodox Church that partners with us are giving food
Yeah.
each week.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Mike and Lena. Appreciate what you do. Thank you for serving Jesus in this way. And thank you for joining us today on Hopecast. I'm David Lapp, your host, CEO of Blessings of Hope. To learn more about Blessings of Hope and how we serve the community, check out our website, blessingsofhope.com. Also, be sure to check out the lancaster.offthestreetsnow.com and get involved in the ministry there. God bless you, and remember that you can bring hope to the people that you meet every day.
Thank you for watching this episode of Hopecast. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out all the links in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.